What's up, tribe? This is my review of In Contempt Season 1, Episode 9. Um, Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. We got a lot to unpack. If you have been following the season, you know, last episode we left off with Gwen getting a really big case of a young man who shot a police officer. And so we start off this episode with her visiting him in the hospital because the cop actually crushed the boy's windpipe. So she visiting him in the hospital, and then we see Charlie talking to the parents. And, you know, he's basically letting them know, look, this isn't going to be easy. You know, they're going to turn your son into, you know, a hoodlum and, you know, all that good stuff. But we're going to do what we got to do. You find out they're going to charge him with first-degree murder, which first degree means it's premeditated. I don't see any premeditation, but I ain't go to law school, so what the fuck do I know? Charlie tells the mother, you know, we're going to need you to go before the cameras. And she was like, the mother was like, I don't think you really want me to do that. She was like, I can't play the role of grieving mom. Like, I can't do that. You know, at least until I know that my son isn't going to die. You know, I can't go out in front of the cameras and just play nice. Like, you know, I want to tell everybody to burn this motherfucker to the ground, right? And I'm with her. I feel where she's coming from. So they have the arraignment in the hospital, and he pleads not guilty. The DA on the case is Jackson. Jackson is the black DA that they've had a couple of run-ins with. As a matter of fact, the case last week was with Jackson, right, where the witness ended up mysteriously getting murdered. So we see them, you know, doing their little powwow, trying to in the public defender's office. Is a group effort, like, you know, it's all hands on deck, and you see them kind of trying to figure out their strategy. And so Gwen is saying, let's argue self-defense. Well, the law states that you can't argue self-defense if you're in the process of being arrested. And so now they have to prove that the young man didn't know he was being arrested or under arrest. You have to prove that the police officer never said you're under arrest. And so that's the strategy they're going with, because if you can prove self-defense, then he'll probably, you know, in a perfect world would get off. So we cut to Tracy and Gwen in her closet. You know how she goes into her closet. No, before that, Tracy's like, well, where's Vanessa? Vanessa's the rookie, right? And they're like, oh yeah, she quit. Gwen is like, she did what? So the rookie then, well, we knew that in the last episode. We saw her quit and pack up her stuff. But now everybody's finding out that she quit. And not only did she quit, but she didn't give any notice. Like, she was like, yeah, I'm done, effective immediately. And so Tracy, who never really liked her anyway, was like, you know, Charlie was like, well, I thought you were warming up to her. She was like, yeah, I was warming up to her until she quit without notice. And so Tracy's thing seems to be the fact that she just didn't give any notice. Like, she just rolled out, which I could get it. I can understand, especially in the, you know, in a situation like that where you got cases constantly coming in. She might have been, you know, in the middle of doing some research or something like that. So so that's the case of the week. Then we see the side conflict is between Bennett and Gwen, which has been building up. Bennett feels like Gwen doesn't take care of herself. She doesn't eat right. When she has a case, she becomes obsessed. She drinks those damn energy drinks that he's like, they are horrible, you know. And Gwen feels like he's trying to tell her what to do. He's trying to be her father. He's trying to control her. He's trying to change her. I'm not going to give my opinion quite yet. We'll dig deeper into it. But that's where their conflict is coming in. And, you know, Bennett is like, well, will you at least talk to a nutritionist? Like, I have a guy. I want you to talk to him so that you can at least start, you know, just eating better and, you know, just being more conscious of your health. She agrees to do it, but, you know, she was basically, I feel like she only agreed to get him off her back. But she agreed to it. So then we cut to Tracy and Gwen in her closet, and you know how she gets obsessed and she's looking at the pictures and she's sitting on her little exercise ball and all of that. Well, Tracy brings her mail because, you know, she's been staying with Bennett. So Tracy brings her mail, so she's got all this mail from these creditors, these payday loans. Basically, she's behind on her repayments. And, you know, Tracy's like, what's up with that? And Gwen's like, I got it under control. Well, then we find out Tracy got a letter from the disciplinary board. She doesn't know who it came from. So she basically spends the rest of this episode trying to figure out who called the disciplinary board. And she has to go before the board, which, y'all know that you got to go before the bar. It could end up costing you your license. And so, Gwen is like, this is serious. And she immediately thinks it's the judge. And, Tracy was like, nah, I don't think it's him. And, Gwen was like, well, how many judges have you slept with? Tracy gonna say 9. Gwen thought she was playing. Tracy was like, no, 9. You's a dirty. Anyway, so you got so many enemies at this point, you don't know where your enemies are coming from. Well, as expected, the DA is trying to preclude her from arguing self-defense. And you see them going down to the courthouse, and they have the police officer's widow and his children, in front of the cameras giving interviews. And then you see Gwen show up with the parents, and, she says her little piece about how her, she's doing what they asked her to do. Her son was a great kid and so forth and so on. And Gwen says her little piece. And, and Bennett was trying to talk to her. Also, he was trying to talk to her to say, hey, are you ready for this? Like, your life is about to change. You're going to have trolls. You're going to have people that think you did a great thing, people that think you did a horrible thing. Like, are you ready for this? And so, Gwen was like, she's taking it all in stride. So they go into the court, and first of all, they bring the young man in with not just handcuffs, but they have him shackled from head to toe. So he's got the leg braces on and around the waist connected to his hands. And she was like, really? Where's he going? Like, all that's not necessary. But, Charlie is like, it's a show. It's a show to show their solidarity, that, the court officers are in solidarity with the police and all of that. So then, who comes in with the DA? Little Miss Rookie. Not only has she quit, she done switched sides. She's she's second chair, sitting at the table. So, of course, Gwen reacts and she's pissed off and so forth and so on. So, she's able to successfully get the judge to at least give her time to prove self-defense. They were trying to get it thrown out altogether, but the judge was like, you have, you basically convinced me that you could possibly argue self-defense, but now you got to show me that you have enough proof to argue self-defense, excuse me. So there was a body cam. The police officer had his body camera on, but the tape cuts off almost immediately after the first encounter. So you see the boy is skateboarding in the park, which Tracy said is illegal, but so is spitting in the park. Like, it's not that serious. The cop is telling him to stop skateboarding, and you see that the boy is like, why are you bothering me? Leave me alone. And the cop is like, come here. You come here. And he's like, no, like, leave me alone. Like, I'm not doing nothing. And that's where the camera sort of cuts off. But then the next thing you see is a citizen was videotaping, and the next thing you see is the two of them on the ground, and you see the police officer on top of the little boy. I say little boy, he's a teenager, on top of the young man, and that's when his trachea is getting crushed. And the way he explained what happened to Tracy was, while he was on the ground, with his basically couldn't breathe, he reached around and grabbed the cop's gun and shot it. And that's what happened. That's his version of the story. So, then we see they realize that what they have to do is go into the community and try to figure out, like, see if there's some witnesses, get witness statements, and so Charlie and Tracy are doing that, and they've actually talked to some people, and they actually found the perfect witness that said that the police officer was wrong. And what I mean by that is a white soccer mom, you know what I'm saying, who doesn't look like she's biased or she has any beef with the police, and she's like, nah, the police officer was aggressive, the police officer was wrong, and he never told the boy he was under arrest. He never made him think he was under any type of arrest, and the police officer was very aggressive with him. So of course they're like, yes, good, and she's willing to testify. Like, she's like, that's my civic duty. So they're like, good, we got a bird in the hand, but we need more. So then they decide, Tracy comes up with this great idea. She says, you know what? We have to strip away the uniform because we're probably not going to get anywhere with trying to prove he was a bad cop, because cops are going to cover for each other, and unless he has some sort of egregious, you know, history, which he didn't. He had a couple of complaints, but nothing serious. So what they came to realize was that Tracy was like, we need to see if he's a nice guy. Like, is he out in the community being an asshole even outside of his uniform? So they were able to find a situation where it was like a little fender bender, and it was with a cab driver, and the cab driver actually filed a complaint about how the whole thing went down, and because he was a cop, obviously the whole thing got thrown out and washed under the table. So let's put a pin in that. Let's go back for a second. I told y'all there's a lot to unpack in this episode. So this is just a little fun thing. Bennett sends his nutritionalist to the office to talk to Gwen. Come to find out, the nutritionalist Bennett has him making her 2 meals a day, but he makes meals based on people's blood type. And so he was like, I need to get a sample of your blood type so I can run your blood type so I can make the right food for you. And Gwen is like, is this a joke? Like, are y'all serious? And like the whole office is just watching her because they know she about to go off. And she was like, yeah, I'm going to need you to leave. I'm not giving you any blood. Get the fuck out of my office. Like, I got bigger shit I'm dealing with. But, that's a real thing. And there's actually a book that I'm not going to lie and say I read it cover to cover. I have read part of the book, that Eating Right for Your Blood Type. And it tells you the types of foods based on your blood type that your body will digest better than others, and foods you should stay away from, and foods that people with your body type are more likely to be allergic to, or lactose intolerant or stuff like that. And the part that I read was actually pretty valid. I think I stopped reading it when it started telling me shit I shouldn't eat with stuff I like to eat. Anyway, that's my own hang up. But I say all that to say that the nutritionist isn't crazy. Maybe asking somebody for their blood in the middle of their job is a little different. But that's his thing. It probably was going to be some pretty good food. So anyway, back to the case. So Gwen files a motion, she's for her discovery, but she wants to include any citizen complaints as well as any formal complaints, as well as basically she's trying to get that report of the car accident, because it wouldn't be in his formal police jacket. It would be in a separate file of complaints, and she wants to make sure she gets all of it. And so you see where the rookie is talking to Jackson. She's doing his research. And one thing I say about Rookie, she fair on both sides, because she found the report and she took it to Jackson and told Jackson, look, we need to include this in the discovery. And Jackson was like, no, we don't. And Jackson was like, it's not exculpatory. It's nothing major. No, we don't need to give her this information. He was like, you were there last week when a witness ended up dead over information she got through discovery. And Gwen was like, look, I had a problem with it when I was on the other side of the table. I got a problem with it now. This is wrong. We need to give her this information. It's really illegal. Like, we could get in trouble for not doing it. So they actually go to court, and Gwen is basically saying, look, he hasn't given me all my discovery, because she knows the report is there. She knows she didn't have the report. And she's basically setting him up. Like, she's asking the questions to set Jackson up. And the judge is like, yo, if you have information that you're not turning over to her, you need to get it to her now, or it's going to be a problem. And he's still he's playing word games. He's like, well, I've given her all pertinent discovery. And Gwen is like, pertinent? You don't get to decide what's pertinent. So the rookie stands up, and the rookie is like, Judge, I'm so sorry. I just found out this information last night. Here it is. And the judge is like, you just found it last night? Yeah, all right then. And of course, Gwen is like, Your Honor, I want sanctions. Your Honor, she knew, and, because she's still, first of all, she's still pissed off at the rookie. And second of all, she knew that report was there all along, and she was trying to set Jackson up. So, of course, Jackson is pissed off when they leave court. And he's like, don't you ever contradict me again. And she was like, I just saved your ass because Gwen was setting you up. Like, I know her. I know her moves. I know what she was getting ready to do. And she was getting ready to set your ass up. Then we see Tracy roll up on Rookie. And Tracy is like, look, did you go to the disciplinary board on me? And Rookie was like, I don't care enough about you to do, like, I don't care enough about you to do that. Like, it's, don't care. And of course, Tracy is like, tell me you didn't do it. And Rookie was like, I didn't do it. Like, so Tracy is sort of kind of losing it a little bit. And I kind of like Rookie's comeback because she kind of came back at her real slick, like, called her a troll and some more shit. Like, she, was quick with it. So then we see Gwen working on her opening argument. Her and Bennett have a nice little moment, whatever. Cut to Rookie in bed with Jackson. Now, I told y'all last week, the way they were talking and looking at each other, I thought there was something going on there. And then when we saw them in court, he put his hand like on the small of her back, and Gwen peeped it too. Gwen was like, did you see that? Oh, she's sleeping with that nigga. All right, cool. I got it. I see what's going on. So, Jackson and Vanessa are in bed, having some pillow talk. And in the midst of it, Vanessa inadvertently tells Jackson how Gwen starts off all of her opening arguments. She was like, well, she always starts her arguments off with, when I was young, I used to believe in magic, but da-da-da-da-da-da. So, Jackson's sneaky ass then peeked it, and that's how he started his opening argument. And Gwen looked directly at Vanessa like, you bitch. And Vanessa is sitting there like, this mo. You know what I mean? Like, this mo. Okay. So, then we see afterwards Gwen and Rookie actually meet up. And, she lets her know, like, look, I can't believe you did that to me. Like, the fact that you would quit without even talking to me or giving me that, or telling me, like, she was hurt. She was hurt more than anything. And she was like, I thought we were kind of becoming friends. And, the fact that you would just quit like that. And then you on the other side, like, straight up. And she was like, well, it wasn't supposed to be like that. You knew they were going to use you that way. Or at least you should have. Why wouldn't they? And you're giving them exactly what they want. Like, you're giving them inside information. You're giving them little tricks that, you know about Gwen or whatever. That's why they hired your ass. Like, that's what this is all about. Because I'm not convinced that Jackson really has feelings for her, or if Jackson feels like she can help him. Because the other thing, when they were having their pillow talk, that he alluded to was that he wants to run for public office. So I'm not sure, and Rookie got a pedigree. So I'm not sure if he's there for all the right reasons. So anyway, then we see the cop, the dude's partner, go, on the stand, and of course he's making it seem like he's the best cop and cop of the year and da 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 da. And Gwen does a really good job of kind of coming back at him, but she stresses about it. So here's a good part right here, y'all. Tracy ass is so shook. I mean, she is shook trying to figure out who went to the disciplinary board and what the complaint was and, all of that. She actually goes to the judge's house to talk to the wife. Remember the wife that approached her at the in the bathroom? And, Tracy's always been, I'm a bad bitch. I don't care about nothing. So what, he's married. That's what I do. Like, she's been that whole, she goes to the now she's getting nervous. So she goes to the wife. And I was like, I don't believe that this bitch then went to the wife and knocked on the wife's door. So the wife is like, what do you want? Why are you here? And she was like, did you go to the disciplinary board on me? And the wife was like, oh, so it's starting to catch up with your, the same thing that Rookie said to her. So it's catching up with your ass. And she was like, look, I apologize for sleeping with your husband. I know I was wrong. And she basically ends up groveling to this woman. Like, like, I'm so sorry. Please, please, this is my livelihood. I could lose everything. I'm sorry I slept with your husband. I was wrong. Like, her whole attitude has changed, right? She went from, I'm a bad bitch and I don't care that you married and I'm just doing what I do, to please, 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 baby, please, baby, please, 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 baby, please. And the wife hit her with, I like the wife. The wife hit her with, whether, your situation with my soon-to-be ex-husband is no longer my concern. And if I were to report you, it would also affect him, which would affect my alimony. And you're just not that important, honey. And then closed the door on her. Told her, I feel sorry for you. Because, she's looking at this woman groveling now. You know what I mean? She was like, I was angry with you, but now I just feel sorry for you, honey. And I'm here for it, because Tracy, your stank ass was sleeping with that married man and didn't give a flying fuck. And when you did that jury tampering, you didn't seem to think there was anything wrong with that either. So, boo, I'm here for it. Now, I think it was the judge that did it, honestly. So anyway, that's that. So then we cut to Gwen and Bennett back at the apartment, and they end up having a really big fight over Gwen's eating habits once again. And she's like, you're just trying to be my father and I don't need this, like, da da da. So he ends up leaving the apartment. She was like, well, I'm just gonna sleep down here tonight. And he was like, fine, I'm going for a walk. Well, she starts having chest pains, and she thinks she's having a stroke. She picks up the phone. I think she's going to call 911. This bitch calls Charlie. Goes to the hospital, stays at the hospital overnight. I guess they kept her for observation. She didn't have a stroke, but what the doctor told her was, these were some sort of palpitations and you need to really start taking care of yourself. Like, which is basically what Bennett has been trying to tell her, and she's been fighting him the whole time. So Charlie is there with her, and, Charlie, they have a little moment. I mean, they don't kiss or anything like that, but they just kind of have a, you really need to take care of yourself moment, She goes back to the apartment. Bennett is like, where the fuck have you been? Like, I got home last night. I didn't find you here. Like, what is going on? Tracy was like, you were right. I'm sorry. You were right. I was having chest pains. I went to the hospital, and she has, like, the monitor is still on her chest. And she was like, it's no big deal, but you were right, and I'm sorry. And he was like, well, why didn't you call me? Like, I would never want you to go through something like that without me. And she was like, because I was mad. Dumb bitch. Because I was mad. So you don't call your boyfriend, you getting ready to go to the hospital, you're having chest pains, but you don't call him because you're mad. And on top of that, you call the dude you were sleeping with before him. That's a problem. So, of course, Bennett was like, well, did you take yourself, did you call an ambulance yourself? Or, how'd you get to the hospital? She gonna say she called the Uber. That's how you know you're wrong. Because when you lied about something like that, you knew you was wrong when you did it. So, and you didn't call him. Like, it wasn't even like you called him once you got there and knew you were okay. You just didn't come home. That's some bullshit. So, what we end up seeing, the way the episode ends, is Gwen and Bennett, they're back on the couch. She cross-examines the partner. Like I told you, she did a really good job with that. So they're sitting on the couch and everything. And Bennett is like, you ready to go to bed? Oh my God. Gwen goes off. She's like, why you keep trying to control me? I'm tired of having the same conversation with you over and over again. This is who I am. I'm crazy. I'm unpredictable. I'm hard to deal with. I'm hard to get along with. Like, I don't understand why you just don't get it. You keep trying to change me. You keep trying to be my fault. Like, she goes off on him. And he's like, all of this because I asked you if you were ready to go to bed? No, because you're trying to control me. You're trying to tell me what to do. You're trying to make me. He was like, that's what I do, because I love you and I want you to be okay. Like, he's really tripping. Like, why are you going off? And so she goes into this whole diatribe about, this is just who I am. Don't try to change me. I'm not like you. I'm not going to be vegan. Like, she basically throws everything in his face about his last relationship with, I forget, what was her name? Felicia. I forgot her name. Rachel. And you know, she was like, I'm not going to pretend to be vegan just to make somebody happy, and I'm not going to quit my job and go on my book tour with you. And did it like everything that Rachel had done. She threw all of that in his face, and he is sitting there like, she was like, you know how hard it is for me right now? I left the office with people still working, and I came home to you because I'm trying to make an effort with you, and it's just making my skin crawl. And he was like, well, damn, thanks. Like, was that supposed to be a compliment? And she ends the conversation basically with, well, if you can't accept that about me, then, you know, ... So then she kind of pauses and says, I'll be back tomorrow to pick up my stuff. Because he asked her, he was like, Gwen, how'd you really get to the hospital? And she told him, she said, Charlie. And he was like, do you love him? And she was like, I don't think she ever really answered. But then that's when she kind of was like, you know, this is just who I am. You know, I'll come and get my stuff. So they break up. But I don't think she ever, I think she always liked the idea of being with Bennett. I don't think she ever, especially the way, y'all know how I felt about the way the shit went down to begin with. So I ain't even mad. Like, I like Bennett. I think Bennett did a real fucked up thing with his fiance. I think that was fucked up. But I don't think Bennett is a bad guy because I feel like he really tried with Gwen. I think Gwen can't, because she does the same thing with her father. She thinks that everything her father does is him trying to control her. I think Gwen is one of those people that, especially women, successful, independent women, you can't allow anybody in that space, and you can't let somebody take care of you. You take everything as you're just trying to control me. Like, I see it all the time, and I even see it in myself sometimes. I have to kind of like check myself sometimes. But I don't think she ever really gave it a chance. I don't. And maybe it's because the way it started. Maybe it's because she had feelings for Charlie, as well as I think she was in love with the idea of Bennett because she had a crush on him for so long. I don't know if she really truly gave Bennett a fair shot. But anyway, so the episode ends with her going into the office and she's all fucked up. She had been crying and everything. And Tracy is like, girl, what is wrong with you? And she was like, man, Bennett broke up. And Charlie overhears it, right? But they got bigger fish to fry because a video has leaked of the young man who shot the police officer, her client. A rap video. They called it an anti-cop rap video. And it has leaked. So that's where the episode ends because they're like, oh, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, damn. And Gwen just starts crying. Like, she just breaks down and she just starts crying like, I can't. Like, it's just too much. I can't do this. So we'll see. I feel like we're building up to the you know, the season, the ending. I don't know if it's gonna be next episode or a couple of more episodes, but I feel like we're kind of building up to some stuff to see where it goes. Definitely gonna see what happens with this whole Tracy thing because she still ain't figured out who turned her in, and you know, this court case, the conclusion of it. So I ran a little long, but it was a lot to unpack. Y'all drop it in them comments. Let me know what you think. Peace.